Hey, good evening everyone. It's about 3:14 here in Lakeland, Florida. I would like to welcome you back to Ricky's Book Journal. So, for the month of August, I've read 3 books, which is pretty good. Um, Out of the 3 books, they all were pretty good books. So, first, I would like to start off with our Danielle Steel, Expect a Miracle. Like I said in my last video, they're little quotes or poems. So today's 2 quotes are only a life lived for others is a life worthwhile by Albert Einstein. The other one is 1,000 words will not leave so deep in I'm so sorry. 1,000 words will not leave so deep an impression as one deed by Henrik Ibsen. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that name. But those are the 2 quotes for the day. So, before we get started on the book reviews that I've read for the month of August, I would like to do some little fun activities here. The first one, well, some fun information, I guess. The first one is going to be why I chose this coffee. 1, Paris. As many of you know, I do love Paris. I also love the beach. As you can see behind me, there's an anchor, so I'm in my living room today. This is actually a dark roast coffee. So the reason why I choose dark roast coffee upon light and medium roast is pretty different than you would think. And here are some reasons and the difference between the different types of coffee, if you did not know. So actually, coffee is a berry. So it starts off as a berry that is picked from like a bush or like a berry bush berry tree. It's red and it's a little berry. Inside of that berry, it's broken open and there is the coffee bean. The coffee bean is then roasted. You have different types of coffee. You have 3 that I heard of, and then there's another one that I just recently heard of, which I think might be like an espresso type, maybe. You have light roast coffee, medium roast coffee, dark roast coffee, a strong roast coffee, and then we're going to talk about the most expensive coffee as well. One of the most expensive coffees in the whole world. So, light roast coffee is a good coffee. Actually, as many of you may or may not know, the light roast coffee has more caffeine in it than a dark roast coffee or a medium roast coffee would, because it's cooked or roasted, I should say, at a different and a lower temp. So the temp that it's roasted at is going to be between 350 and 400, and it's roasted for a shorter amount of time, and that's why it has more caffeine in it. The medium roast coffee is going to be, of course, as you can guess, your medium caffeine. This coffee it has a medium or medium balanced flavor, and it's more like your breakfast coffees and things like that. And it's roasted at 410 degrees between 430 degrees. And then you have your dark roast coffee, as I just showed you here, which is the less caffeine coffee. So one, it has less caffeine in it. It's cooked at a temp of 465 degrees. And it has more of a strong, bold, and smoky flavor. So it's more robust and flavorful type of coffee than the other 3. Then one that I just found out about that I didn't find that much information on, was a strong roast coffee. And this coffee has the max amount of caffeine, but it doesn't compromise its flavor. Now, one of the most expensive coffees in the world is called, now I may mess up this name, but it's called Kopai Luwak. And this coffee, it comes from the Kopai Luwak, which is kind of like an animal. It looks like a lemur or a cat, possibly. And the coffee beans are partly digested in the animal, and the beans are then, since they've been digested, they go through its final stage and is comes from the animal's poo, I should say. So what happens is there's actually people who are dedicated to pick the beans, or the partially digest beans, out of this animal's poo, and then of course they clean it off and stuff, and it is supposed to be a very flavorful coffee. Now this coffee is about $600 per pound, so it is expensive. There is some other more expensive coffees out there as well, but this is one of the most expensive coffees in the world. So now, since you know about coffee and the different types of coffee, we'll go ahead and get to the book journal here. So one of the three books I read is called 19 Minutes. It's by Jodi Proctor. And again, I do apologize if I mistaken her last name. It is about a school shooting. So it was actually, if you remember on one of my first reviews, I read a book called, let me see here, not that one. It was a book called, that's From Blood to Ash. Oh my goodness, what is it called? I'm so sorry, you guys. I don't remember what the book is called. But it was about another school shooting. Hang on, because I know it's in here. Ah, This Is Where It Ends. So This Is Where It Ends was another book based off of a school shooting as well. And I liked the book, but I wanted to know more about what made the kid decide to do the school shooting. Like, why? Why did this happen? Why was this happening? What made this happen? What made him go through these phases? In 19 minutes, you actually learn about it. You learn about a lot of things that can happen in 19 minutes. For example, it starts out with like, you can mow the grass in 19 minutes, you can make breakfast in 19 minutes, you can take a shower in 19 minutes, and it goes on of things that can happen in 19 minutes. Well, in this particular book, it informs you that in 19 minutes, there's a shooting that can happen. And if I believe I am correct, there were about 29 to 30 students. 10 were dead. The rest were injured. And all that happened in 19 minutes. This book was a very serious book, a very serious topic that especially for today's world, with everything that is going on. This book was an emotional book, but it also taught you a lot as well. And it was based on bullying. Bullying. It was based off of troubles that kids go into. Troubles what happens to kids when things go wrong. How sometimes schools don't have much protection against bullying, and even though in the handbook it says what they need to do for the bullying. Now, the end of the book was very surprising, because with the characters you have two students who used to be friends who are not friends anymore, because of course one of the students become popular and one of the students is an outcast. You have a mom who is a judge. You have a police officer as well, and you have a boyfriend too. So some of the trigger warnings in this is, of course, the school shooting. Some is abuse, some is bullying, and other things like that as well. So this book, if you're in the right mindset, I would totally recommend it. It's it's about 300-400 pages, but it was very good. It touched on every base of what you need to know, and it went back in time and forward as well. So it started from the beginning of the school shooting, and then it went back in time through the events, and then the ending of the book brought you back to the present in time as well. So the ending was pretty surprising. I was very shocked at the ending of this book. The third book I read is an arc book, so it's not out yet. So anything that's an arc means it's not out yet. The author was great enough to be provided this book by the author, and I was very happy with it. I actually gave this book 4 stars. This book will be out on the 7th of September. So it's not out yet, but it will be out on the 7th of September. I do recommend it. It did get 4 stars, and the only reason it got 4 stars was due to the religion aspect of it. There was a lot of there were 2 girls who are inseparable, which is the title of the book, so it's Inseparable. And the story is based on the 2 girls. The name is Andre and Sylvia, or Sylvie, I'm sorry, Sylvie. And it's based in the 1920s. So it's based way back then. The book is written by Simone de Beauvoir, and it's translated from French into English by Sandra Smith, and the introduction is by Margaret Atwood, which you would know from the author who wrote The Handmaid's Tale and Maidens. Is it Maidens? Or, I don't know, Handmaid's Tale? And, I think it's Maidens. Let me see here. I'm putting on my trusty phone here. It's not in that one. It's in here. It is Testaments. I'm sorry, Testaments. Um, she also wrote Testaments. So The Handmaid's Tale and Testaments. Um, so what happened with this book? This book was actually never before published. So it is a novel. And like I said before, it has taken place in the 1920s. You have two best friends who go through life together. And both girls come from a Catholic background. And due to it being based on the 1920s and them coming from that Catholic background, their options are to get married at a younger age or go to like a cult/boarding school. And the writing of this book was absolutely stunning and beautiful. The writing was great. You still had some French in there because it, the book was written in French. So you had some French in there still, but a lot of the book was in English. So some of the names are in French. Now, the ending of this book did have a twist that was very unexpected, but you didn't see it coming. So, but it was very unexpected. So, hopefully, on the 7th of September, you go out and buy this book because it was a very good book. I liked it a lot. Now, the last book I read was called Corrupt. This is a student-teacher love affair. um, this book was based off two people so far. And there was a girl named Jaden. And in the book, she seemed to be a troubled teen. And a troubled teen who no one believed. It seemed not even her mother. So in the beginning of the book, you kind of find out that she's going through, we'll just say, womanhood, to keep it a little bit clean. And she hides her sheets because she finds out there's blood on them. She doesn't know what to do. She's afraid that she'll get in trouble from her mom. And so she throws them out the window. And she burns them. Well, in between burning them and going downstairs, you realize there's another character named Mr. Ridley, that something happened with the two of them. So it really doesn't give too much on what happened, but you kind of get a gist of what happened with that. Also, from what I can gather, Jaden is a very beautiful young woman. And there are some men who are attracted to her. Now, there is a part in this book where she, we'll just say, goes through womanhood again. And it happens at school. And so there's some people who are making fun of her. And it's the first day of school. And so the nurse comes and gets her, and she goes to the girls' locker room to take a shower and clean up and things like that. Now, in the meantime, as she's cleaning up, it gets to a different part of the section of the book where you're introduced to Mr. Hunter. So, Mr. Hunter just moved to the town, and he is the new PE teacher at the high school. And he has a troubled past. There's something in his past that is troubling, and that you don't know what's going on with it. At first, because because I've been watching Vampire Diaries. I thought he was like a vampire or something. It doesn't turn out that he's a vampire. Um, so now he walks into school and the principal sees him. The principal takes him to the teacher's lounge and he's introduced to some teachers, and the teachers let him know that there are some troubled students, and one teacher actually has a list of all the troubled students at the school and students that he needs to watch out for. So finally, because he's very anxious and just really doesn't feel like talking to anyone, finally the bell rings and he can leave. So he goes and finds his office. He remembers where his office is. And his office, he looks around and sees that it's a mess, and he realizes what needs to be fixed and what he needs to turn around. He looks out the window, sees the soccer field, see that it needs some work as well, and he's trying to decide how to get funding for this, because he was informed that he can turn things around for the activities of the school. Well, then he goes into the men's locker room, and the doors are painted blue and pink. So blue is boys, pink is women or girls. And he describes it as it's a clean locker room, but there's a stench to it. So it still smells, but it is clean. So he does admit that it is a clean locker room. So then he goes to the women's locker room, and he finds out that the shower is running. So he thinks that, oh, well, one of the showers are busted or something like that, not working. So he goes into the shower, and he sees Jaden in the shower. And he lets her know that she should not be there. But there are more things that go on in this book as well. This book, I would say, is probably PG-13, maybe a little bit older, because again, it's a student-teacher relationship. Let's see, Amazon lists it as, because I do get some books off Amazon and eBay, even though I know some people are against Amazon. The book is called Corrupt. And let's see. I really wish things would stop being automatic spell like they think I want it to be. So Corrupt. So as that comes up, this book is by Yolanda Olson and Abigail Davies. And this book is a prequel to the Tale of Teachery. The next book, which it says book 1, which is called Duplications, is also in the Tale of Teachery, and will come out on August 3rd, 2022. So Amazon says the age. Oh, it doesn't give the age, does it? It does not give the age. No age in here. So it was just out on August 24th, 2021. It is a shorter book. It does have 45 pages to it. And there's no age for it. But I would say the age for this book would be 13 and above. I would say 13 and above. Because 13-year-olds should be able to decipher kind of how things are. But here are, I'm going to go ahead and show you what the books look like now of what I read. So, the first book that I read, which is called 19 Minutes, looks like this. Can you see?
Add gain scent beads for an even longer lasting scent.
There you go.
Tired of waking up hot and uncomfortable? Start sleeping cool.
Has two people holding hands.
It's engineered with a revolutionary system.
That book was about the school shooting. The second book I read, which is not out yet, but it is called Inseparable, and it looks like this. And it's a really, like I said, it's a really good book. And the third book, Corrupt, it looks like this. So, and like I said, it is by Yolanda Olson and Abigail Davies. So, it is a really good book. I would say the trigger warnings in this book would be cussing. There's cussing, and there is certain body parts that are explained in their regular detailed but in slang language. So, but these 3 books were actually really good. I really enjoyed all 3 of them, and I totally recommend them. As I said, Inseparable on my Goodreads here. So, Inseparable I gave 4 stars. Corrupt I gave 5, and 19 Minutes I also gave 5 as well. So down below will be my Goodreads link, so you can see the books that I've read so far if you want to get any of them. And will also be some of the other booktubers that I recommend as well for watching, because they are just simply amazing. Now, next month in September, I'm going to try to read at least 2 books. One is going to be They Both Die at the End by Adam Severa, and the other book is going to be Romeo and Juliet by William Shakespeare. And the reason I'm reading Romeo and Juliet is with my cousin who is in Indiana. So hello, Madison. I know you're watching this. So her school, well, her teacher picked Romeo and Juliet by William Shakespeare for their next read. Now, my favorite book in school that was picked by teachers, other than like 13 Reasons Why and things like that. I actually read that before it came out on Netflix. That was one amazing book, but I went through every emotion. And the author actually changed the ending to that book as well. So there's 2 different endings to the book. One with a sadder ending, one with a not sadder ending. And but my favorite book of an older style book, or book written way back when, would be Frankenstein. I loved the book Frankenstein. It was just an amazing book. So it is on my Kindle. But this time I'm reading Romeo and Juliet. I've actually never read it, so I'm pretty excited to jump into the book and read it, give it a review, see what I think about it. And it, I believe it's like 142 pages, so it's not that many pages, which is great. So it shouldn't take too long to read, I'm not thinking. But yeah, so I can't wait to see what her school picks for, what her teacher picks for the next book of her, for them to read. So, because I like reading with her, it's fun, it's cool. We get to text back and forth and what we think about the book and everything. So it's pretty cool. Makes me closer to my cousin who lives in Indiana, where I'm originally from, along with my husband. Right now we live in Florida, so we own a home in Florida. And if anyone's wondering about how things are going with my health, because I know I talk about my health a lot, I'm actually still regressing, so which means getting worse, unfortunately. I do have my convulsions every night still, and sometimes I do have them throughout the day as well. I actually have a occupational therapist, a physical therapist, and a nurse that comes in twice a week to visit and help me get strengthened, because due to the convulsions, I have gained a lot of muscle weakness, and I still have my short-term memory as well. So I will be getting tested here as well for just different types of things due to my mental illness. So I do want to inform you, like I always have on each and every video, mental illness is no joke, you guys, or is any other illness. So if you're going through something, if you have a hard time, if you feel you have a certain type of diseases or illnesses or anything, talk to your doctor, get that help you need, so you can be well off and better off and catch it before it catches you. So I went, the reason why I'm having so much and so many issues and such a hard time is because I went from a younger age to the age of 30, 31, dealing with these issues without help and without assistance, because I come from a family who just kind of tries to brush things under the rug, and that's not always a good way to do things. So you don't want to always brush things under the rug. You want to talk to people and get the help that you need. So in middle school? No, high school. In middle school, high school, I actually saw a therapist, and when all of this started back up again, I actually saw the therapist again. So he is now 80, which is unbelievable for me, and I actually went to another therapist who I liked, and then I had to get new insurance because, unfortunately, my work, I can't work. So, unfortunately, my work let me go. So, due to my disabilities and not having a place. So, with that job, and due to the liability that I carry with them. So, unfortunately, I had to be let go. So, with the new insurance that my husband and I have now, I am now seeing a new therapist and a new psychiatrist. So I see the therapist every 2 weeks, psychiatrist every month, and so they are very nice and they help me. And then I have a full support of people as well, family and friends who help me too. So I'm very happy with that. As you guys can see in this video from the other videos, some parts I stutter over or I forget, but I get through it. I try my best to get through it, stay positive, and try to be happy. So you guys are wonderful, and even though I don't have that many subscribers yet or anything like that, this actually is a big help for me to just kind of come out of my shell and just talk. So I hope every one of you who watch this are having a wonderful day, and remember, every single one of you are beautiful. So I love all of you from all over the world. So I have true love for each and every single one of you. So I'll talk to you guys soon. Maybe it'll be sooner than a month. Maybe it'll be a month. I'm not sure. So it just depends on how everything is. Love you guys. Have a wonderful day.